And they also will cry injustice sometimes for something that you think is a normal operating corporate business practice that they need to be reminded to in clear detail. So you can have like the 10 commandments of savory brands or whatever it is, right? And that process, then there's no wiggle room or excuse. And what it is, it needs to be publicly displayed, right? It needs to be everywhere when you come into work, when you come out of work. So there's no mystery. And again, it can't be 100. It shouldn't be 50. Honestly, you could capture a lot in 10, like tell the truth, don't complain, blah, blah, blah. And again, if there's a problem, be like, I don't think you're a good fit here anymore because you're not living up to the standard that you already agreed to.
Yeah, that's great.
Right? And then you have to live by it. And here is the key. Your managers and your leaders must also live by those rules. You will have a schism in your organization if the managers are living by a separate code. Now, they can have different privileges, but they cannot have different principles.
I actually agree with that.
Right? Privileges being is, okay, they can come a little later, they can have a company car, but they can't lie.
No.
Right? They can't do one thing. And like, so privileges and principles are two different things. So for us, it's worked very, very well.
It's phenomenal. I'm going to shift because we're out of time, but I want to hear from you. You're obviously in some rooms that none of us are in, but we are all, I think all of us are going into a budgeting season. So we're talking about 2026. And you know, when 2024, Charlie, we sat down and with all of our different brands and management, we said, we think this is going to happen in 2025 and this is going to happen. A lot of it didn't happen, right? Like this year has been a little bit more tumultuous than I think a lot of us have experienced in the past and also that we probably planned for. Give us some guidance as to what you're hearing and thinking about the economy itself going into 26 and how should we budget our career or budget our businesses so that we're safe in our career.
Please, anything I say here, guys, take with an enormous grain of salt. Please have it be one data point and a factor of many. Last thing I want to tell you is the economy is great. You guys open 5 new locations and you know they close and I have a
We're going to send you some Yelps.
Well, I think you guys will do more than that. But look, I happen to be very long-term bullish on the American economy for many reasons, not just psychologically. Just as a side note, I think in reminding your workers that their tax are not tipped up to a certain amount and their overtime is not tipped now, I think is a very interesting potential morale boost that you can tell to your workers. Let me tell you why I'm bullish. I'm bullish because after traveling the world, both to Europe and Asia, they are all looking to America and they are telling me as a traveler, the American economy is the best. We want to put money into America. We want to buy American securities. We want to buy American real estate. That's amongst the ruling class and the investor class of these other countries. Finally, secondly, I think that there is a massive pent-up economic boom that's waiting to happen around artificial intelligence that is going to reverberate positively throughout the entire economy. I think it will make your businesses more efficient. I think you'll be able to better analyze data. I don't think, honestly, if we're doing this 5 years from now, I think we'll laugh. Be like, we used to look at Yelp. AI is now better able to synthesize, 100 different receipt transactions in an hour, and we could tell whether or not they had a good experience or bad experience. Like, I think the way that we analyze data and that it guides your businesses is going to completely change, and it will make you more profitable. It'll make your businesses better and more attractive. And so if I were to give you a piece of advice you should take, embrace AI wholeheartedly in every way you possibly can, because if not, it's the same people that didn't embrace the steam engine, okay? Yeah. You will be, or what's that internet thing? I don't need that. I'm just running a restaurant. So I highly encourage that. I think rates are going to go down. I was talking to a major multi-trillion-dollar fund manager the other day, and he says their data shows the American economy is a lot better than even the Fed thinks it is. So I happen to be a very optimistic person. I think that there is probably going to be a market correction at some point. I think that publicly traded securities are vastly overvalued, largely because money doesn't know where to go right now. So it just keeps on going into these high, insane multiply, the same 6 companies, and NVIDIA, Google, Microsoft, that just keep on there. But the actual brass tacks, consumer sentiment is actually okay. Consumer spending is remaining strong. If there were some pitfalls of where the economy is, housing remains to be a big problem. However, shelter inflation hasn't gone up too much since January. But the last thing I'll say is this, is the more I spend in the economy, both as an analyst and actually as a participant, the more I realize that so much of this is psychological, that if people believe things will be better, they will be better. You guys are the top, the biggest one-to-one correlation of that statement that I could imagine.
I agree with that.
Either people eat out because they think things are good or they do not think things are good, right? And so I would say that the more that we can cheerlead the economy, the better. And the more that we can say that it's good, the more that it will be good. I would much rather be the United States than continental Europe right now. I would much rather be the United States than a lot of these other countries. I think there might be some 1 or 2 minor corrections, but we have every possible asset I think that we're going to see better energy prices. I think we're going to see more capital deployment. Also, guys, if you're going to go to more, if you guys are going to be building more, whatever it is, convection ovens, whatever it is, there's 100% depreciation coming back in the tax code here, which is huge. And heavy machinery discounts. I don't know how that applies to your businesses, but I imagine it's pretty good, right? And so eventually you're going to see this thing pop where there are so many incentives based on this latest tax bill that I think will be enormously positive. And if the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime actually does end up materializing into demand-driven parts of the economy, there'll be more people that have more money in their pockets that will spend it more in restaurants, right? So again, don't take this to the bank, but generally, I am investing like a bull. Especially a long-term bull, a 5-10-year long-term optimist. I think that we have such incredible assets. And the last thing is, I talk to entrepreneurs, they still are in growth mode. They're in problem-solving mode. And I think as long as we keep that kind of mindset and that psychology, I think we're going to be in a very, very good place.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Last question. What is a quote that you live by?
Boy, a quote that I live by. I'm a Christian. I wear it on my sleeve. So quotes would probably always be Bible verses. I'll give you two. One is actually not in the Bible. It's more mythological. And one is actually in the Bible. The first is not in the Bible. It's "This too shall pass," which was actually, people think it's in the Bible. It's not. But it's King Solomon's phrase, which is really amazing when you think about it, because it's good no matter what season of life that you're in. If you're going through the worst of times, this too shall pass. And things are going to get better. If you're going through the best of times, though, it's really humbling. This too shall pass, and this will fade away, because this will not last forever. So I love that.
And they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a time-transcendent truth that applies towards all periods as an entrepreneur. It humbles you when you need it. It builds you up when you need it. Gives you hope when you need it. It also gives you a little bit of a dose of a gut check. One of my favorite verses, though, is Romans 8:28, which says that God works all things for good for those who love him. It's a very freeing and liberating verse. For those of us that are Christians, because we believe that when things can be really bad, God is working it for his good, his perfect and pleasing will, which is a very, very hard teaching when you come across business closures or staff layoffs. But it's very liberating that God is working all things towards an ultimate good. So I love that, and it kind of is very freeing that I don't have to be in charge of everything. And there is a God, and I am not him, and I surrender to his will.
I appreciate that. My quote, I'm going to share it with you. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Is from Epictetus, and it's, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid."
The original Stoic. Yeah, he was a former slave that became a Stoic, yeah.
And I love it just because as entrepreneurs and all of us here building businesses, we are pretty foolish. It's very, very hard, but you have to be content in the fact that we've signed up for this, that we are showing up every day to battle through it. And so all I'd like to leave everybody here with is stay the course, be smart, stay positive. I like that you have a positive outlook on the economy. I do too. We're investing like crazy right now into the market.
Don't do it because I told you.
No. Okay. We were doing that before, but this year and even next year, as I met Charlie, and this is the first time we've met actually in person, was that you're an entrepreneur, that you have this entrepreneurial journey that I don't think a lot of people would realize, that I didn't even realize. And because I've been an entrepreneur for 28 years, Charlie, a little bit longer than maybe you. Yeah. But as I've looked back at the past 28 years, I still think about the different inflection points I've had in my career and all the things that I learned at those different inflection points. You're, I think, years ahead of where I was, but I still have learned a ton from just talking to you a little bit. But before we jump into our entrepreneurial journey and share with a room full of entrepreneurs and executives, Charlie, we're both Chicagoans. Where are you from, and what's your story in Chicago?
Yeah, I'm from Wheeling, Arlington Heights area.
Arlington Heights.
Yeah, so
Elgin.
So Brian's here. He's a big Vikings fan. It's just this whole thing. So tough week.
Tough week. It was a tough week. I think it was the last minute,
thanks
right?
for reminding me.
Yeah. No. Hey, listen, I'm a Bears fan in the back as well, but you grew up in Chicago. You're not in Chicago now, though, Charlie.
No, in Arizona.
In Arizona.
So whoever runs Hash Kitchen, we have pumped a lot of money into your enterprise, and we'll continue to do so. Great, well run. I didn't even know you guys had Hash Kitchen. Yeah. You have these, I think these Bloody Marys that are like
this
code.
big.
Yeah. It's like you walk in, it's like half the size of
you don't even need breakfast after that. Yeah. But no, Scottsdale's in a great place. We've built a lot of restaurants in Scottsdale and in Arizona air market, and it's great, and Hash is great. But you live there, you're married.
Yep, 2 kids.
Married and 2 kids. So you're doing the father figure thing, and it's hard, right?
It's a lot, especially as an entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
There's practices that we have to sustain to keep it all together, such as honoring the Sabbath, which is really big in our family, just resting for one day. Because as you know, working just for 7 days straight, you'll burn yourself and your organization out if you do that.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're in an industry where you go 7 days a week. Predominantly, right? And there are some very big brands that have done it where they've taken off Sunday. We have some brands
Chick-fil-A, right?
Chick-fil-A, yeah. And we have some brands ourselves that are off on some Sundays. I actually think that we all should do what Italy does, and that is take the whole month of August off. Should we do that? Who wants to do that? Because I want to do that.
Makes up for the whole year.
Yeah, it makes up for the whole year. I think we should do that. But did you ever see yourself here, though? Like, go back to when you were in Arlington Heights, and you're like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to build a thriving business, which I don't think a lot of people understand. You have a lot of different business events that you're doing. And it's not just events, it's actually business investments and initiatives as well. And that's what was surprising to me is like, you're a true full-blown entrepreneur. Did you ever see yourself here?
Well, not exactly. It's been kind of a interesting journey. But no, look, I've always been someone who has been into building stuff. And especially whether it be brands or businesses. And one thing I think that people don't quite grasp is that we have 1,000 employees in what we do. You know, we have a very successful for-profit entity, a very successful non-for-profit entity. You know, well over $140 million in revenue now a year.
Incredible.
Which in our space is a lot of money, right? And so, yeah, look, I love finding problems and solving them, which is what an entrepreneur at its core actually is. And I love building teams. I myself know myself